do today.
Right.
So it's potential as well as frustration, okay?
One of the, as a technology reporter, I have an enormous amount of stock footage of things.
You just put stock.
Exactly right. As I was reading your book, I was able to kind of make little highlights. Oh, I have pictures of that.
I like that. You have this huge database of stock junk.
Right. Let's start with you pronouncing your name for me again.
Yeah, Michael Dερτούζος.
Okay.
Dερtúzos.
Dερtúzos.
Right.
And tell me your title at MIT.
I am a professor, of course, and I'm director of the MIT Lab for Computer Science, which is a center of some 500 people.
The one thing that's, I'm going to move a little closer, so sure, the one thing that struck me, I think it was on a book jacket or something, it said, Bill Gates calls him almost every day.
Nah, that's bull. Somebody put it, I don't know who started this. I know Bill, I've known him for 16, 17 years. I admire him, and we have a good relationship, you know.
Not every day.
No. It's amazing what the media can do, you know.
Well, actually, that is one of my other questions, is one of the things that you touch on in the book is the growth of the internet. There are those, I use Peoria, and it's not fair to use Peoria, but there are those in Peoria who say, all right, the sock puppet came, the sock puppet went, the dot-coms are over, the internet has run its course. Quite the opposite is what you're arguing in your book.
It's fundamental. It's fundamental. Anyway, are we filming?
Absolutely.
Oh, Jesus. I thought we were, I didn't see a red light.
Well, there is none. There is none.
I'm sorry. So maybe we should start over. I thought we were just practicing. So where do you want to start?
With the internet. There are those who believe, okay, well, the internet did its thing, disco did its thing, and now the internet's done its thing, and it's over, and will not do this anymore.
I see. And cars did their things, and now they're done, and we're not going to have cars? I mean, this is ridiculous. We've had an industrial revolution which changed the face of the world. It lasted 300 years up until now, and now we have an information revolution which is of the same magnitude as the industrial revolution, except instead of affecting our muscles, it affects our brain and our eyeballs. And we're already marching up this ladder. There is so much ahead that is yet to be done. And just because we have a little fickle correction in the market, everybody goes, "Wow, we're dead." And when the correction is the other way, "Woo, we're going to be great." You know, oh, come on, simmer down.
If we're comparing this to the Industrial Revolution, where are we in the?
We are very early. We are only at about 5%. Not just the people interconnected, but 5% of the potential of the internet and the web. There are things we cannot do today at all. We cannot speak to our machines and communicate with them in a natural way, the way we've been talking for thousands of years. We cannot automate a darn thing. We cannot offload from our brains and our eyeballs the work. We're doing harder work today than we did before. So the third thing is we can't work with other people across space easily. I mean, we have emails and things like that. We can't find the information we want as easily as we would like to do it. There are all these things that are, I call them human-centered, because everybody would like to do them, and we cannot do them. Instead, we're serving these machines, and we're just sitting there, you know, dealing with them at the lowest mechanistic details.
And everybody uses the same machine.
Everyone, it's like the carpenter and the jeweler are all using the same hammer, you know? And we're going to have to specialize, and we're going to have to develop special machines that eventually are going to lose their entire computer-ness. And they're going to be known by what they do, just like your refrigerator is known by what it does, and your pencil sharpener, and your elevator, and your car.
Talk about feature creep, that bloat, glitzy technology.
Yes.
My Palm Pilot that I carry around, I think carries 1,000 names. I can buy one now that'll carry 7,000 names and also wirelessly connect to the web and everything else. Just in that time, just that product has gotten that much more complicated. My word processor, I can highlight now with the yellow ink.
It's got 600-page manual, the word processor. You know, that's exactly right. The feature shock, somebody likes to call it, is one of 20 different ways in which computers frustrate us. They crash, we wait long for updates. They're very peculiar, you know, they force us to do things we don't want to do and all that. And what's worse, we're getting more and more machines and they're becoming more and more complex. So if we keep going in that direction, you know what's going to happen. We're just going to explode with complexity. And the clarion call, the movement I'm trying to get going here is one that says, stop, no more. It's time to pay attention to what people want. Let's have the machines serve us. It's more than just a wish. We have the technology. I know so, and I talk about how to do it in the Unfinished Revolution. So let's do it.
Well, isn't that what Apple computer is supposed to do? Isn't that what the little Microsoft paperclip in my is supposed to do? What is make things easier?
You know, making things easier is not painting the trash can a bright red color. The smell is still there. You got to go a little deeper. You got to get to the fundamentals. So making something easier is really making it more natural. So you don't have to learn new ways of doing it. And although a lot of people have tried, and there have been laudable ways and simplification in many directions, the net effect is we haven't achieved it. We keep growing in complexity. If you do take one simple thing, like I mentioned, speech, that's natural. And the technology is finally bursting. It's ready to go, although it's been overpromised and not delivered in the past. Product is being readied in various companies I know. There are 20, 30 startups out there. It's really moving. And speech is natural. With that, you don't have to learn anything. You don't have to carry manuals. You don't think of it as a feature bloat. It's what you do to communicate with others. That's the kind of basic, deep stuff that's going to simplify computers, not a fickle, so-called user-friendly, boy have we killed that phrase, approach.
There becomes the point where we almost can't trust the idea of user-friendly.
I don't know what user-friendly means, because it became a marketing ploy to indicate that you ought to really play with this machine. It's nice, and it wasn't user-friendly. I've often used the metaphor that when people say their machines are user-friendly, it's like taking a chimpanzee, dressing it in surgical gowns and green gowns, and earnestly parading it around as a surgeon. Our machines are not user-friendly. They're monsters. And although I love the Apple, the Mac, and I use a lot of Macs, I also use Windows, the choice between Mac, Windows, or Unix is whether you sleep with a hippopotamus or with a rhinoceros, or, you know, they're all pretty hard. Some are less hard than others, but the whole thing has to become much easier and has to address and help human purposes.
It doesn't have anything to do with your book, but tell me what you think of this recent decision about Napster.
Well, I have a very strong position on Napster. Napster is a tip of an iceberg. The big iceberg behind it is what I call information work, previously called white-collar work. That's the proffering of work by physicians, by government people, in commerce, finance. It's the 60% of our economy that is office work. Napster is just a tiny sliver of that. So if we start freely exchanging the work of musicians and artists, which is what Napster does, and we extend this little example to where we start freely exchanging the work of doctors and the work of business people and the $13 trillion a year of this service-oriented office work, which is so much bigger than music, then we're in front of two big quandaries. First, it has ridiculous economic consequences. We cannot suddenly devalue the work of 60% of the people. And second, we would be violating social principles that we took thousands of years to develop. Now, my friends, you know, who like Napster, especially young people, they say, hey, you don't get it, old man. We love it. This is the new way. Hundreds of millions of songs have changed hands. We like it. It's going to keep going. There is no end. My foot. Sure, if it's easy to acquire the work of others, to steal, and you think you can get away with it, we'll do it, because human beings like to do more by doing less. But we shouldn't sacrifice thousands of years of socialization just because we become interconnected. And I think the courts are absolutely right in stopping this nonsense, because it is far bigger in the future than the tiny sliver that music represents. I know music is very exciting to a lot of people. It's tiny compared to this giant of office work. What are we going to do? We're going to devalue human work? We all have a right to the work that we do. That's the philosophy of Locke, the philosophy that has guided us throughout the world history. Now what are we going to do? Suddenly devalue human work just because we become interconnected? No.
Excellent. Let me check my other questions here. Two more questions for you. First, the wiring up of schools. Let's get some wire and let's wire them, and then let's get some computers.
Well, that's a favorite politician cry. Wow, we're going to wire up all the schools. Look, I'm fundamentally an optimist about the human race, about technology. It's easy to be an optimist. It's hard to be an optimist. I mean, it's easy to be a pessimist. And I believe that in education, computers are going to be a tremendous help. But I can't prove it. And the jury is out. If you ask the educators, if you look at the experiments, if you look at the literature, you try, there are some areas where we've done very well with computers, like simulation, learning how to fly, learning how to do a little surgery. But there are a lot of other areas where you don't know if you're really learning. And then when you look at how our kids do in the international exams, we score 18th. And the kids that score first come from nations that have no computers. So you wonder what's going on here. So my bottom line is very simple. I really am hopeful about this, and I think we should experiment with it. So I'd like to see us deploy them. Large numbers, hundreds of thousands. I don't know that I'm sure to support millions, and certainly not tens of millions. But let's have hundreds of thousands, let's play with them, let's experiment, let's write about them, let's really do the hard work instead of just saying, wow, let's do it because it's there.
Last question for you is the one we touched on in the beginning, and that is explain the title of your book to me.
The title of my book is The Unfinished Revolution, Human-Centered Computers and What They Can Do for Us. Human-centered is what I've been talking about, machines that can really truly serve us instead of us serving them, speaking at our level, helping us at our level. The revolution really won't be finished until that happens. We are now at the very, very beginning of this revolution. And I would like to see it serve its course and fulfill its potential and help us. And that won't happen until the computers vanish behind what they do, until they start doing things that we truly value, like all the things I mentioned. And until that happens, it's an unfinished revolution. And when it happens, it's finished.
Stop there for just a second, and Bart will get his 2 shots.
His A's and B's.
Yes, exactly. What are you doing in Silicon Valley?
Well, this evening I'm speaking at the Tech Museum.
Oh, that's right.
And I'm being filmed by C-SPAN.
Oh,
taped.
wonderful.
So that's wonderful.
Oh, that's great.
That's about an hour and a half.
Yeah, you can make it from here to Tech Museum.
I'll make it.
In 45 minutes in the worst traffic. So oh, that's great. Tell me how you got your start into computers and...
I was in Greece. I'm Athenian from Greece, and I was right after the war, like all the kids, we were, set to move up, and the question was not moving up, but what we would do.
Sure.
So I read some stuff in Scientific American that absolutely captured me.
Do you get, you talk a great deal about changing the way computers are structured, etc. I would think, the guy in charge of the department in the most respected computer science
That's me.
in the nation is you. So just get it done then. It's your job.
I'm doing it.
Right, good.
You didn't ask me. Project Oxygen, I've collected $50 million, 6 partners. I got 200 people working on this.
Oh, that's wonderful. What, things like computers understanding speech, understanding emotion?
Yes, we're building a thing called Oxygen, which is a model of what my book talks about.
When you have some sort of benefit from your project?
10 years. 5 years before it's out of the lab. It's a 5-year project we just started, and it's going to take a while to hit industry. So if we're lucky, you'll see some fallout next year on the speech for television sets and things like that. But to get the full gamut of human-centric machines, 5 to 10.
The machine that I want is a computer that doesn't tell me there's been an error, but just takes care of it. My mom...
Wouldn't you like that? Wouldn't you like that stupid telephone when it says, do not dial 1, just remove the 1?
Right, I dial it. So what? Do I dial 9 on the fax machine, or do I dial it?
Right, just